Greetings. I wanted to talk a bit about working out and about progressive load. You do a little more on a regular basis, you increase the difficulty on a regular basis. And it doesn't really matter what the movement or what the exercise is. If you train, you should improve. And if you're improving, that means you can do more. The example that I give is you have this amount of work. That's how hard it is. And your body adapts to it. Now you need to make it a little more. So your body adapts to it. And little by little, you step your way up. If you do not make this guy a little harder, why would your body adapt? Why would it go do more than it needs to do? This is, it's not just biology. You adapt to the situation, not over-adapt. It's capitalism. You have an incentive to work. Okay, you work. And that's the level that you settle at. Anybody who works harder than they're paid for, they're doing it because of their character. Maybe some other reasons, but they think that hard work is good for your character, and they're right. But even if you're not being paid for it, we can be philosophical about all that. But in terms of biology, it's not a matter of philosophy. It's you get what you put into it. You always need to be putting in a little more so that you're getting that much back. So specifically, when I was in my early 40s, I had a 5-minute mile. That's pretty good. That's a good college athlete. And I was in my 40s. Now, I did it because of emotional stuff. I was not a runner prior to that, and I don't like running. I didn't like it when I was doing it. No, you get used to it. It's not so bad. But then you get out of the habit, so now I don't like running again because I haven't really been training it. I need to. How did I do that? And I did it progressively. I did intervals. I did, say, half-hour runs. I did sprints. I did long, slow runs, LSD, long, slow distance. And I did it across the week. And being me, I was very orderly, and I kept notes, and I tracked everything. And my point is, say on the intervals, I put together a protocol for myself. And it was 100 meters, I think, at a speed, whatever the length was. I'd run that distance at that speed. And I like treadmills because of the consistency. And then I would walk. There it is. I'd run 0.15 of a mile. Then I would walk a tenth of a mile. Now that's a quarter mile, all told. So I'd run 15, I'd walk at 10, and I would repeat that. So each interval was the equivalent of a quarter mile. I think I did 6. Then I increased the speed by a tenth of a mile. And instead of doing 6, I did 7. The next week, I increased it by a tenth of a mile, and I brought it up to the next 8 intervals. I think I did 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That seems more reasonable. I did change it up a little bit. Just you hone it to see what works. My point is, I changed at least one, and sometimes in the beginning when it was easier, I changed 2 variables. I was either running an extra interval, another lap as it were, or I was going faster. And every week, I did 1 or 2 things more. Well, every week I did another interval. Generally, I'd run at such and such a speed for the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that might be 5 weeks. I didn't do that multiple times in a week. It was a 1-week thing. I was doing other running, but we're talking about now about the intervals. And that's what every week I did more. And that's how I did it. Now, there's a fella at Galway, and he's the marathon guy. He's a good guy to look at if you want very reasonable. He's more about do less. Make it effective and do less. He's more about get rest, and he's correct. I haven't really used his protocols because I'm not the 10K guy. I was going for the mile, and sure enough, it probably took 6 months, probably something like that. Very consistent from nothing, from a lean, active, athletic, middle-aged guy. I did that, and look, if I can do it, you can do something like that. You pick your goal. The reason I chose running is my son was in Iraq 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. Pretty stressful for a dad. And how do you deal with your emotions? Well, feel them, but I don't want to feel anxiety. And so what I did with them is it's called somatizing. Make it part of your body. Make it physical. And so I somatize my emotions. It's not an unhealthy thing. You're not stuffing it. You're not eating it. You're dealing with it. You're using it. You're investing it. So that's an example, the running. And that's, I did that protocol so long ago that I am a little vague. I talk about it. I tell people about it. So I refresh my memory about it. But I'm a guy, if I don't burn through those synapses every once in a while, they really do fade. I couldn't find I couldn't find my way to some place that I used to live. I'd get lost. So another example, the rowing intervals. Now that's not complicated because it's just, for me, it's just once in the beginning when you're getting trained again, you can do it 2 or 3 times a week because it's not that much. But when you're doing the big deal, when you are pushing into your system, these things, I generally do some big training thing just once a week. I'm a big believer in reduced workouts, abbreviated workouts. You do the big important things. And then if you've got some special rehab issue or some appearance issue, then go ahead and do auxiliary movements. It's not about safety in that case, it's about the appearance. Hey, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. With rowing intervals, my protocol is 250 meters at a speed. And it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it's a minute rest. Now, a minute rest is a long time. So you can go pretty fast, 250 meters. When I train it, I'm impressed with myself. It's pretty good. 1 week you do 4 intervals, then you do 5, then you do 6, week after week, always at the same speed. So let's say you're not a rower, you're in okay shape, but you're not a rower, and you do the 250 in 60 seconds. That's pretty reasonable for someone who's not doing it at all. And it's not just you burn out on one, you've got to do 4 of them with the rest. And by the time you get to number 4, oh, maybe it's pretty hard, a way to hone in on what your actual pace should be. You do the first one at 60, you rest. Second one at 60, you rest. Third one at 60, you rest. Now, the last one, number 4, burnout. You go as fast, you're not saving anything. Before you were pacing yourself, now you're not. You're gonna leave it all on the mat, as they say. And you should be pretty blown out when on number 4. Maybe instead of 60 seconds, you did 55. Well, you average now, not 60 seconds, your average now, you pace it, you put it all together, it's 59. You did that, you averaged 59. So next time when you're gonna do not 4, but you're gonna do 5 intervals, you know what your pace is gonna be, it's gonna be 59. You're not doing harder, you're doing what you did, only there's no burnout the second time. So now you do the 5. Now the last one, you do a burnout. Every time you go as hard as you can. And by then, you get to a certain point and you're not going to be going faster than your pace. It's going to be hard to maintain your pace. If you don't make your pace on that last one, if you don't make your pace, you repeat the number. You did 5, you didn't keep on the last one, you didn't make it, repeat it. You're going to do 5 again, you're not going to go up to 6. Because you trained, you improved. You're going to be better. Why did you train if you're not better? If you're not better, you didn't train properly. You probably didn't recover enough. Or you're going to do better, but maybe not meeting the goal again. I've done that. You just repeat the cycle, you repeat the week at the same speed, with the same number. So that's the rowing protocol. Now, I did 4, I did 5, and let's say it's 60 seconds. I did 4, I did 5, I did 6, I did 7, I did 8. Always at 55. And it's hard to, by the time you get to 8, it's pretty tough. I mean, you may be curled up, rolled up, on the floor, gasping and spasming, and it's just really tough. Not for the drama of it, it's just that's how, you've got a little lactic acid build up there, and it's just the writhing. Okay, so you did your 8. Next week, instead of doing 60, we'll call it 60, instead of 60 seconds, you're going to do 59. 60 was really hard when you did the 8. Now you're going to do faster, not 60 seconds, it's going to take you shorter, 59 seconds, but it's only 4. So that's going to be like a rest. And then next week you do 5, and next week you do 6, etc. And then the cycle, the month after that, it's 58. And now you're going to start to get an idea about what you can reasonably do. It's the same thing. You're increasing the difficulty on a regular basis, whether it's running, whether it's rowing, to cardio things. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish, cardio. Or it may be a strength thing. And let's say it's squats. And let's say you haven't been doing squats, you're fairly athletic, and you pick your goal. You want to do 10, and that's going to be the thing you do every week. It's going to be 20. I like 1 work set, and that's the abbreviated workout. I'm not a college football player. I do 1 work set. I'll do 4 sets, but 1 is pretty light. Whatever the number is, let's say you're going to do 10. I might do 5 for a warm-up. I'm talking about squats then. Let's say squats. So I'm going to put the bar on my back and do 5. And get down deep enough and just let things open up, and then put some weight on and do 5 or 8 or 3 or whatever feels right. You may just stand there and just kind of let your bones settle into having this load. Let your central nervous system get used to that. And then you do the 3rd set and then you add some weight. 4th set, you built to your goal weight. let's say you haven't worked out much and you're going to do 95 pounds, you're going to do 20 proper squats. There's a lot to be said about proper squats. There's, coaches, sometimes they're telling you what they got out of a book or what they've learned, and it's not adapted to the individual. So I won't go into that, but for your body type, the length of your torso and the length of your legs and those considerations, you're going to be doing squats. And just a cue that I give people is your weight is on your heels. Put your hips back when you go down, and it's kind of a folding motion, like an accordion, something like that. Again, I won't go into that. But keep your weight on your heels, you're going to be pretty good. And you've got, say, 95 pounds on your back now, and you're going to do 20. We say it's the 20s. The Widowmakers. There's a book called, I think it's Gain 30 Pounds of Muscle in 30 Days, something like that. And it's basically drink a gallon of milk and do 20 squats. And every day you do heavier squats. Yeah, well, you're going to gain a lot of weight, that's for sure. It's not going to be muscle. If you drink all that milk, milk is there to make you fatter, to make you bigger. And that's a controversial statement, but that's what it does with cows. Baby cows don't get muscular, they just get bigger. They get proportionally bigger and appropriately bigger. There are good things about real milk, but we don't have real milk hardly at all anymore. I won't go into that. I've got a lot to say about that, but not for now. So my point is, the 20 squats, it's a kick in the head. It is psychology. It is depth psychology. You learn something about yourself when you do that kind of a workout. With lighter weight, it's just a thing, 20 squats. Not easy necessarily, but it's not crazy. You put meaningful weight for your level, and it may be 45 pounds, it may be 20 pounds. That's fine. It may be no weight at all. Maybe 20 body weight squats are challenging for you. That's what older folks should do. You stand up and you sit down properly, and you are doing squats, and you're strengthening your lower body. And this is a beautiful thing. But that's not you. You're not 80 years old. So you put some weight on your back. And there are front squats and back squats and overhead. Just back squats. It's easiest leverage. You're not here to do exotic things. You're there to increase your general wellness. And so squats. Okay, so you made your goal of 95 pounds, 20 reps. And you rack it, and it's a thing. You might be shaking a little bit. A week later. Now, when you're beginning and it wasn't such a big deal, you can do it. You can do it the next day. Every day is leg day. But let's make it not 20 squats, heavy squats every time heavy. You don't do that every day. But then that's the protocol we're looking at. So next week, you're going to put 100 pounds and do your 20. And you're active. You're doing other things. You've got other workouts going. But this is a special training goal. Then the week after that, it's 105. And you notch it up by 5 pounds or maybe 10 pounds because you're working into strength you already have. That's a big deal. People don't know how strong they are. It has to do with motor units. Your unconscious mind isn't really aware of them. So, and then you start to train and you become aware of muscle fiber that you've not been using. Not you, but the back of your brain does. And this is how you can get much stronger very quickly. You didn't add any more protein to your muscle bundle, but you added strength. How do you do that? Because you're training your central nervous system. Well, it's that way with like 20 squats. You got a lot more strength than you know. Eventually, you're using the strength that you have. And then it starts to get pretty hard because now you've got to build new strength. So you've built new strength, and it may be instead of adding 5 pounds each workout, you've got to add 2.5 pounds with some micro loading. That's okay. You make your goal. And if you can't make your goal, it's 140 pounds, it's 160 pounds, whatever it is, you're getting up there. If you can't make it this time and you can only do 15 and you got to rack it and now you've got to rest. All right, rest. You did 15. And then because the job is 20, not 15, you do your other 5 and you broke it up. That's fine. But the goal is not to do 20 only. It's to do 20 unbroken. So guess what next week? It's going to be the same weight and you're going to get your 20. Last time you only got 15. You're going to get your 20. And maybe you can, maybe you didn't. Okay, well, you're going to do better than 15. Maybe you get 17. All right. Keep that same weight. Next time, you're going to get 20. You're doing something more. The goal is not 20. The goal is do as much as you can and then get 20. And sometimes you can just add 5 pounds every week or 2.5 pounds. That's fine. That's the increment that you're going at. And you do 20, 20, 20 week after week with 2.5 pounds more on a regular basis. And once in a while, you've got to repeat a week, not a big deal. That's how I got 20 for 200. It's not amazing. It's a pretty standard, pretty good goal. Anything more than that, I think you're very focused. You're really serious about it. And yeah, go ahead. Whatever your body weight is. Now, that's another thing. Doing 20 at your body weight, as your male, very honorable. because there are big guys and little guys. And the little guys have their advantage and big guys have their advantage. But hitting a 200 pound for 20, if that's the goal, the little guy does not have the advantage. The big guy does. Longer bone can mean, it should mean, and generally does mean a longer muscle. And a longer muscle is a stronger muscle because there's more muscle there, generally speaking. So what I've talked about is the progressive nature of working out. This is the philosophy that when I train, it's not just doing stuff, the metabolic conditioning, the WODs, the CrossFit WODs, a workout of the day. That's not about strength in the sense of, wow, it is about fitness. It's a different thing. Training, this kind of training, this progressive load is about strength. You're going to get better and better and better and stronger and stronger and stronger. And there's going to be appearance benefits that come with it and size benefits, if that's what it is. Look, people should be proportional. And I've talked about it, the guy with the really big arms. And you know what he's been doing, a lot of curls. And he wants big arms. And it may be he doesn't know that you need to bring those other muscles along. So this is a thing. Look, we're talking about squats. Let's say your goal is a 300-pound bench press. It's a very good gym kind of goal. I've had a 300-pound bench press a few times in my life. I'm not a big, bulky guy. I'm a lean, lanky guy. But, you train for something, you work for it. It's never been about appearance. You do get bigger up top, but it's about that goal. I for arbitrary reasons, I'm going to do that. And you do, and you work for it, and you get it. I had it when I was 16, and I had it in my late 50s. Maybe I'll do it again. But my point is, on Sunday night squats, just do squats. But other things, you have to balance it out. And I've said this before. Hopefully you've seen it. Whatever you push, you should pull. And if I'm going to do the outward push, I need to do an inward pull. I don't particularly like bent over rows. I don't like the angle there. I don't like what it's doing to the lower back. You can brace yourself, but if that's the case, I like ring rows. You can weight yourself. You can put on a vest to make it heavier, and you can elevate your feet to make it more of a effectively heavier. My point is, whatever you put, you've got to do the counter movement. So bench press is what everybody does. It used to be, really before my time, but it used to be overhead press. That was what muscle men in the 50s, up until the 50s, that's what they did. And it switched over because of various propaganda things and because people started doing bench press. They got benches. In the old days, if you worked out in your garage as a teenage kid working out, you didn't have a bench. You didn't have a rack. You couldn't, but you could have a bar and stand up and do it. So that's a thing. I will say, bench press, build your pecs, absolutely. Overhead press builds your deltoids, the shoulder muscle, and that's the cannonball. I think subliminally, in terms of the aesthetics of it, shoulder is better. It's more important. It's more aesthetically pleasing. It's, if I dare say it, it's a stronger indication of masculine beauty. So, whenever the movie came out, the movie Van Helsing, about Van Helsing, the vampire slayer, very science fiction-y. It was Hugh Jackman. And there he, the Wolverine. And I didn't really know the actor, but there he was. And of course, they managed to get his shirt off, and he's running through the vampire-infested woods shirtless. And I tell you what, I saw that guy, and it's pow, wow. That guy, and this is an old-fashioned term that I used, that guy is built in that film. And I hadn't used that word since the 70s. He was built. You don't hear it anymore. And I asked myself, what? He's got abs, he's got arms, he's got, pecs. So what? Every pretty boy in Hollywood has that. What's different? And he had shoulders. He had deltoids. He was working out, I would say he was working out properly to give himself that balanced look. And it's a subliminal thing. You're not necessarily aware of it. I wasn't until I became aware of it. And then, so now I have that example about working out properly, which is you work out properly when you do the 3 directions, up, out, and down, which is the same as pull it down, pull it in, pull it up. Same idea. If you do bench press, as an example, you've got the goal of doing 3. Now you've got your chest. Look at my chest. Look at my anterior deltoid. It's so big. And I've seen people, a lot of pressing, big, big, big. And then the back, the posterior deltoid, the back of the deltoid, the 3 parts to it, front, middle, back. And they don't do the back. They don't work the back. And it looks like, I kid you not, it looks like somebody took a spoon and just scooped out the back of the muscle. It's all developed in here. And then there's just nothing back there. It looks wrong. It looks, if you have an informed eye, an aesthetically trained eye. So the point is, avoid that. And you see people doing, bodybuilding exercises. If you do a real movement, a real compound joint movement, you're going to hit it. And that way you don't have that imbalanced look. So the point is, if you set some specific goal, you still have to have another goal. And that's at least don't neglect the counterpart movement. All right, that's enough of that. I was talking about progressive load and how to get there a little bit on a very organized basis, not in a hurry. Give yourself a rest. And that's why I will take a week. I would work out once a week on that 300-pound bench press. And every week I would do a little bit more weight on the workout. And that's how I achieved it, little by little. All right. Have a great day.